Evening, Council, Council President, good to see you. So just some positive news to share with you tonight, and a couple slides for you. All right, so first up, comprehensive stormwater comp plan is currently underway, looking for some feedback and some comments from the public. So I think you are all aware, but I think it's important to spread the word that what we do here does set this tone for the capital improvement monies that we go out to do infrastructure improvements. And one of the things I'm always excited about is when we make improvements that actually remove fish barriers and actually allow for salmon to spawn again. And this is one of the parts of the program here. As you can see, staffing levels, maintenance, of course, I mentioned the capital improvement plan, regulatory environment that we create, how we protect the natural environment. All of this is important in our city. And so I encourage you and to spread the word, to get involved on this comp plan update. Next slide, Dave. So this was exciting. This is a collaboration between BCAT and the City of Bremerton Water Division. So it's rare when you get an award-winning video produced by our local BCAT group in combination with people from our water division, their employees. Lisa Campbell is an environmental technician, and Teresa Smith is also an environmental technician. They help script. Lisa helped script it, appeared in the video. Teresa appeared in with the cameo appearances. And so both of these, we have an award-winning video now that's recognized at the state level. And so it's being presented tonight at a regional conference in Kennewick. And I thought I'd share that with you. As you can see, it's just about our water system, our water division. It's meant to promote this as a career to the folks in our city and our region, city, state, and region. All right, next slide, please. So this is, once again, I presented Claire to you as the winner of the Mayor's Award. It's an award I started, a Youth Leadership Award, an award I started in 2019 to recognize and leadership, youth leadership, and promote it. And we've had some success, and Claire is the second one to win the state honor. And so I'm just going to read, though, a little bit about Claire. She's here tonight. I'm going to have her come up once again. This is quite an achievement. It is really cool to have one of our students from our own Bremerton High School win an award that's a statewide award like this. All right, so Claire Worthen, our 2023 Mayor's Youth Leadership Award winner, was recently selected by the Association of Washington Cities for its 2023 state scholarship. She was one of only 8 recipients in the state to earn this award this year. Claire, a Bremerton High School senior, will receive a $2,500 state scholarship to use to support her higher education this fall. This award scholarship recognizes leadership skills and dedication to civic service. So this last January, I awarded Claire the Mayor's Youth Leadership Award and a $500 scholarship. And part of the winning that award, recommendation to the state for this state achievement. So this award demonstrates leadership, service, and commitment to our community. So again, I'm proud to present Claire just to say a few words.
Well, thank you again so much for this. And it's really a privilege to be able to represent Bremerton at this scale, not only just for the city, but on the state level as well. And it's because we put funding to our education, and because we really invest, I think, in the education of our students here, that we're able to have people and so many others like me that are able to make change in our community, because that's what's instilled within us when we're younger. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody here who is putting in the effort, and it means a lot to be able to represent Bremerton here. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Claire. And council, that concludes my report tonight.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mayor Wheeler. And on behalf of the council, congratulations, Claire. And I'll give you one piece of advice, which is don't forget to get some sleep. So very important. All right. Thanks again, Mayor. And with that, we'll move on to consent agenda.
Thank you, President Coughlin. For approval on the consent agenda are the following items. A, claims and check register. Check numbers 402-603 through 402-773 and electronic fund transfers V37331 through V37415 and the grand total amount of $1,796,729.39. 2, retiree payroll for pay period ending April 30th, 2023 in the amount of $39,974.71. B, minutes of meeting April 19th, 2023. C, minutes of study session April 26th, 2023. D, confirm appointment of Diane West to the Bremerton Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. E, interlocal agreement with Kitsap County for solid and hazardous waste management planning. F, ordinance number 5472 to extend term of cable TV franchise agreement with Comcast Cable Communications Management LLC. G, resolution number 3357 to establish June 7th, 2023 as the public hearing date to vacate a portion of alley between Broadway and Chester Avenues. H, agreement with Southern Road and Bridge LLC for Reservoir 8 interior coating replacement project. I, interagency agreement with Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission to reimburse the city of Bremerton for providing instructor for the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. And J, appointments to committees to write statements for and against levy lid lift. This concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Does any member of the public wish to comment on any one of these specific items? Raise your hand on Zoom or come to the podium. Just checking anybody online, Dave. All right, seeing and hearing none, I'll go to the council for a motion. Councilmember Denny.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Councilmember Goodnow.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I call for the question.
Councilmember Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Dennehy,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is public recognition.
Excellent. As noted, public recognition provides an opportunity for attendees to address the council on any city-related item that is not already listed on tonight's agenda. If you wish to make a public comment, please either line up at the podium in the room or if participating by Zoom, use the raise your hand feature and wait to be recognized. We just ask that you state your name for use in the record if you live or work in Bremerton, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We'll have a timer system so that everyone is treated equally. And with that, I'll open public recognition. Start here in the room.
Hello, my name is Promise Kartner. I'm reading public comments by Aaron Leidick, who served on the Bremerton Race Equity Advisory Committee from the
And
fall.
so sorry to interrupt, this specifically on the Race Equity Advisory Commission. Okay, we'll have that under item 6D towards the end of the
Thank you.
meeting, so no worries. So there's any other public comments on anything that's not on tonight's agenda?
Hi, I'm Tony Ives, the Executive Director of Kitsap Community Resources. It's not on the agenda, but I wanted to talk about Manette. So a lot has happened since the last time we've all been here, or the last time I've been here. So, you know, we appreciate your support, and a lot is about to happen as a way of affordable housing here in Bremerton and in Kitsap County. And again, we couldn't have done it without your support and the support of the county, Doug Washburn, and the folks in this room, some of the folks in this room. So thank you. Okay. All right. That's it, really.
All right, thank you. Anyone else for public recognition?
Hi, my name is Carolyn Stein. I'm with the Executive Director for the Washington State Science and Engineering Fair. And I just wanted to thank Mayor Wheeler, each of the council members, and the public for hosting over 1,000 students, teachers, mentors, volunteers, and judges at this year's Washington State Science and Engineering Fair. It was a great time. And I just wanted to also give a shout out to the United States Patent and Trademark Office that was there. The HAMS, our local HAMS group was there, the United States Army recruiter from Silverdale, and the Turner Joy, although they were unable to make it last minute, opened their gates to the wonderful ship and invited everyone from the fair to come down and participate at that. And they did. It was great to see school buses full of tourists at our hotels. I know that the bus from Spokane stayed at the Baymont. The one from Sunnyside and Richland went to the Oyster Bay. I know the Fairfield and the Hampton hosted our judges and our VIPs and our families. It was great to see tourism alive and again back in our area. But more so, it was wonderful to be interacting with the students. And at this year's fair, we had the privilege of awarding more than $1.8 million in 100% donated scholarships, trips, prizes, and awards. And it's due to the fact that the city of Bremerton, all of you as residents and the council and the mayor, that you support this fair and all the volunteers it takes to put it on. So thank you for that. We selected 25 students from across the state to comprise Washington's International Science Engineering Team, the WISE team. And next week, we will be taking those 25 students to Dallas, Texas to represent Washington State and our state science and engineering fair at the International Science and Engineering Fair, a global event with more than 1,800 students competing from more than 75 countries worldwide. Bremerton will be going with us. Not only do I wear the pin proudly and boldly, but we also list you as our sponsoring city and host city. So you'll go everywhere we go. And I just want to let you know that we will be there and we are going to cheer on these students. And I'll come back and let you know what they do. But in the meantime, please mark your calendars because next April 5 and 6 is the next State Science and Engineering Fair. Thank you so much for the support that you give to these students and to us as the volunteers that put on the volunteer for the fairs and things. All of you just rock. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else for public recognition? We'll look online. Yes, Mary Lou Long.
Good evening, council and neighbors and residents of Bremerton. My name is Mary Lou Long, and I've been a longtime resident of Bremerton. I'm here once again. Actually, I'm on vacation. Well, not vacation. I'm visiting relatives. It's a family issue down in California, but I felt it important to zoom in and once again ask the council if they would like to give the voice of the public an opportunity to be heard through a referendum as to whether or not we should place the Pledge of Allegiance in the beginning or place it on a ballot to have it as the formal opening of all of our council meetings. I know this may not seem like it's very important to some of the council members and maybe some of the residents, but I believe in a democracy and I believe in the principles that are set forth in our Constitution and in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would like to see the voice of the people to be expressed through a ballot measure. I'd like the council to respond in writing to my request to put the Pledge of Allegiance as a formal opening to all public council meetings on the ballot coming up and give us all a chance to vote for it instead of just having a few people making that decision for all of us. I thank you very much. I do not have a flag near me. I am not standing up. I am sitting in a car and I am hoping that you hear my voice, and I hope that you will put this to the voice of the people and put it on a ballot measure. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for public recognition? Robert Harris.
Evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Robert Harris with the NAACP Bremerton branch. I don't have a copy of the agenda right in front of me. I wanted to know, was there going to be any discussion on the diversity, equity, inclusion person that's going to be hired in the near future? And if not, I'd like to have some discussions with the NAACP being involved with diversity, equity, inclusion person that will be hired in the future.
I'll give the mayor an opportunity if he wants to respond on the diversity, equity, inclusion hire and RFP that just went out.
Hello, Robert. Good evening. So yes, right now we have three applications in for a consultant. And so we're setting up just a small review team to go over those. We'll select the candidate that's best qualified. They'll be working through the process with a consultant. There'll be some stakeholders, key stakeholders that will need to be identified for in-depth interviews. And so I don't want to get ahead of the team that's assembled. One of the team members is in the audience right now, in fact. But you are on a list that I'm going to recommend for an in-depth interview when we get going with this. So Robert, I hope that helps answer your question. And of course, you can call me anytime to discuss this further. And I expect this to be happening soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mayor Wheeler.
Excellent. Anybody else for public recognition? We've got another one online. Yes, Leslie Doggs, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't be there. My name is Leslie Doggs. I'm District 2. I just want to say thank you, Mayor, for your recognizing Claire Warden. I just want to congratulate her on her scholarship award with AWC and the Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for starting this. It's neat to see the kids I work with achieve and move forward and then get recognized by our city. So I just want to say thank you on that and congratulations to Claire.
Excellent, thank you. Anybody else for public recognition? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and close public recognition and move on to general business.
6A, general business. Funding award agreement with Kitsap Community Resources for the purchase of Mills Crossing Affordable Housing Project. Our presenter tonight is Melinda Monroe, Contracts Administrator.
Good evening, Council. I have for your consideration the funding award agreement with Kitsap Community Resources for the purchase of the Mills Crossing Affordable and Supportive Housing Project. As you know, they have been awarded funding from a variety of areas, including the Rapid Capital Acquisition Housing Fund from the West State Housing Trust Fund. And also on January 11th, the City of Bremerton made a financial commitment of $500,000 of our American Rescue Plan funds. And with that, KCR has come to the point where they are ready to make a purchase and sale of the Mills Crossing Affordable Housing Project. And I have with me Anthony Ives, the Executive Director of KCR, to talk more about that schedule and a bit more about the underlying affordability in that project.
This project was fast, faster than anybody expected it to be. Started around December 15th, and here we are, closing June 16th with the Department of Commerce. They weren't the last bit of funding, but they were one of the most important, and everybody else jumped in. Actually, the county was first, and you guys were right there with the county, and with that, we leveraged everything together. So again, we couldn't have done it without the people in this room and the mayor. And now here we are, June 16th, June 13th, we signed the contract with Commerce. June 16th, we close. Prior to that, of course, we have to put up the earnest money and do the wire, but we're on pace. The checklist is just about complete with Commerce. Spoke with, well, funds are in place. I should just say that because some information isn't quite public yet. But we've worked hard to get here. And again, we couldn't have done it without you. So there's 36 units, 34 of them will be eventually permanent supportive housing and affordable housing. We don't have to relocate anyone in the units. That was our agreement with Department of Commerce. That being said, we're going to have an on-site facility maintenance and case management, and we're working closely with the city and with the Bremerton Housing Authority to facilitate everything that we're doing. Of course, my team is excellent, and they're right in the middle of everything that we're trying to do. So I appreciate them. We plan on having an open house catered. I've already spoke to the mayor about it. Hopefully that's June 24th, and everybody's going to be invited. Senator Murray, we spoke with her yesterday, and they're coming. Representative Kilmer's team is coming. So it should be a very cool event, all right? Inviting all the residents, and I'm really happy that this is done. No, don't do that.
We've been partnering so much on this. I just want to say I'm very proud of our partnership with Kitsap Community Resources, and of course Kitsap County and our other and Bremerton Housing Authority. So thank you, Council. I'm here to support Tony and support this project moving forward.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Ms. Monroe, Mr. Ives, and Mayor Wheeler. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? We'll check no one online. All right, seeing no public comment, I'll go to the council for a motion. Yes, Councilmember Fry.
I enthusiastically move to approve the funding award agreement with Kitsap Community Resources for the purchase and sale of Mills Crossing low-income housing units, and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
And I second Glorioski.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We're open for discussion. Councilmember Fry, the floor is yours if you wish.
I just want to recognize the teamwork that's gone on with this. Our housing providers, our low-income housing providers and community service agencies have been working a long time together, meeting regularly. These relationships have been established. And for those out there who don't believe that going to meetings is important, this is a great example about how coming together can really make something happen. The 6-7 months, that's like warp speed. And it all came together for this project. So I enthusiastically, support this. Happens to be in District 2, but I know we're getting into Manette now and others. So great teamwork, everybody, and a lot of hard work ahead. But the big lift of funding is done. Thank you.
Councilmember Mockler.
Thanks, Council President. So I was thinking it would be useful for people to know that one of the things that's great about this affordable housing arrangement, and it's not in our packet, is that it makes the largest provision that I have seen for extremely low income people. And I'm sure somebody here has those figures, but it's for the people who need the most help. Typically, okay, I'm going to geek out real quickly. Typically, annual median income in Kitsap County is 1,025. That's right. $3,000 more than New York City. So getting to 60 or 80% of that in a city where 40% of households earn less than 40,000 has not been as helpful as it might have been. extremely low income is actually going to be a place for people to land who are, yeah. So I'm just really happy about that. I did have one question, and I'm directing it to you, Council President, as per protocol. But I was wondering why the affordability is set for only 30 years.
Mr. Ives, is that a question I might be able to answer?
These are protocols, right? But with that particular project, basically, it may say 30 years, but it's really 40 because the terms of the 6.3 million that comes from Commerce is a 40-year forgivable loan, right? It's 1%. And we're not really paying anything as long as we stick to the terms of the agreement, which is spelled out in the contractual arrangement, you know, for affordable housing. Okay. So I also must say that all of this is in flux. The Department of Commerce, they're new, and the pots of money are new as well. Frankly, they invited us to be part of the policy shaping committee for the Apple Health and Home, which is permanent supportive housing. And that starts this next month. So we're all trying to figure it out together, and it's a big deal. All right. So here we are. And Kirsten Jules over there now too. So, right.
Excellent. Thank you. Back to you, Councilman Mochler.
Yeah, I'll just, sorry, I'll just close by saying that several of the councilors and the mayor toured these facilities, and they are dreaming. They really are. They're 3 bedrooms, 3-story, 2 bedrooms with attached garage. I mean, I should live like this. That's all. I'm just very happy about this, and congratulations to everyone involved.
Excellent. Councilmember Chamberlain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ives. Yes, you are amazing. So this is, and I know you have a big team behind you, so you won't take credit for all of it. And you've mentioned all the folks, and you're really good about making sure to mention the folks that have helped in this collaboration. So I want to thank you for that, for naming all the, you know, all the different folks that have assisted in this fast tracking and making sure that they get recognition as well. And I'd love to see this kind of fast tracking go on for affordable housing for individuals that are not part of a family unit, because that's the greatest need according to the surveys in our area. But thank you so much for this collaboration to all involved. This is amazing, and looking forward to this very wonderful opportunity for our low-income families to have just lovely housing. It's not the norm. So Bremerton does really great things, and happy to be part of that. Thank you.
Any other council members for comment or questions? Councilmember Goodnow, then Denny.
I just want to say that I think it's fantastic. Usually I don't just sort of make these kind of comments, but I'm just so excited about this, that it came together, that it just everything fell into place. So thank you, Mr. Ives from KCR, and Mr. Mayor, I guess I can just call you. I'm just so pleased that this is coming together. I can't wait to vote.
Councilmember Denny.
I'll just echo what everybody said. Mr. Ives, Mr. Mayor, thanks so much for forming this partnership. Council members Mochler and Fry, thank you for bringing information back to the council after exploring these units. You know, my past experience with affordable housing, seeing units, was in New Orleans, and it was the bare minimum that was given to folks who were low income, and that isolated people from an aesthetic standpoint from where geographically those affordable housing units were being placed, and that affects the schools that you go to, that affects the jobs that you're able to get to, that affects the public transit that you're able to get to. And so seeing these beautiful townhomes in a very desirable area of the city, that's the way that we should be moving forward with affordable housing, not isolating folks because of the socioeconomic strata that they're in. So just kudos all around, and I can't wait to vote on it. Thanks so much.
Excellent. And then, do you want to jump in there, Mr. Ives? Yeah.
Comment. That's exactly the comment that Representative Kilmer made, that people with not the means that many people have can live with dignity and in a great place and be proud of where they live, and they don't have to accept what everybody else tells them to accept. And he said that, right? And in fact, you know, Mayor, you wrote a quote. They reached out to us to say, Derek wanted to actually talk about this week in DC, and he asked for quotes from us. And the mayor was gracious enough to give us one. But what we could talk about Mills Crossing, Manette all day long, but this is just the first. It's the housing task force. And every time I talk, that's what I want to talk about. We're all coming together, not competing against each other, but collaborating together, getting the sources of money. We pitched it to commerce, we pitched it to everybody. So that's our common message here right now. Not just one or two projects. We don't want any more money. It's time to give it out to everybody else. And that's what we're trying to accomplish, okay? I just needed to say that, okay? That's it.
Excellent. All good. All right, I'll wrap this up. You can applaud. You can applaud. All right, I'll wrap us up here by saying, yes, thank you once again, Mr. Ives, for your leadership and success in this project. Affordable housing is something we hear about all the time from constituents, and it's one of council's top goals and priorities. So I'm so glad we were able to allocate the $500,000 in ARPA funds. Thank you so much, Mayor Wheeler, for bringing this forward, and all the staff that worked hard on this. Thanks again for everybody for making this really important goal happen. And with that, I will call for the question.
Councilmember Frye,
Yes.
Dennehy,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is item 6B, ordinance number 5473 to amend Bremerton Municipal Code section 2.03.010 relating to the mayor's compensation. Presenter is Human Resources Manager Charlotte Nelson.
Good evening, council. So I'm going to go through what we're doing here and what the proposed changes are. And our BMC states that every 4 years that we will do a salary survey on the mayor. And that was done. Council met and reviewed it and came up with a proposal to set the mayor's salary at at the amount equal to all 7 council members' salary, which is $124,924.08. And if approved, that would be effective January 1, 2024.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? There are no hands online. All right, seeing and hearing no public comment, I'll go to the council for a motion. Councilmember Mochler.
Bremerton Municipal Code currently has the mayor's salary at $114,000. The proposed ordinance would increase the mayor's salary.
Mayor, Councilmember Mochler is the recommended motion.
Oh, I'm reading the fiscal impacts?
Oops.
My bad. Move to approve ordinance number 5473. There we go. Amending section 2.03.010 of Bremerton Municipal Code relating to the mayor's compensation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Heard a second by Councilmember Good. Now we're open for discussion. Councilmember Mochler.
I just wanted to mention that Councilor Chamberlain had brought up that the median income in Bremerton is just about exactly half of the 124. So that was another consideration, that the mayor's salary is twice the median income, which appealed to all of us. Thank you.
Council members for comment on this item? Okay, nope, I'll just agree. I know we had a really good discussion on this item of exactly where to set it. And we've arrived at the combination of all of our salaries, which is on the lower end of other mayors compared to other cities, but higher than it is currently. So hopefully competitive without being too high, especially considering the city of Bremerton. So with that, and seeing no other further comments, I'll call for the question.
Councilmember Dennehy,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
thank you, Frye,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item is 6C, request approval to submit port security grant application through FEMA for the purchase of a new rescue fireboat. Presenter is Fire Chief Pat McGaney.
Welcome, Chief. Take it away.
All right. Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing us to be here today. I'm asking Council's approval to allow us to put in for a port security grant for a new boat. Our current boat is a 1991 Northwind Marine that was repowered a couple times, but most recently in 2018. The firefighting system was updated. It's a small system on it to allow us to handle small fires. But that firefighting system, the electronics, and the power plant eventually are going to need to be replaced. This opportunity with the port security grant is through FEMA. It does have a 25% match on our part. The reason I'm coming forward now is one, the 2023 fiscal year, but new boats are between 24 and 36 months out to receiving them. So that's going to put us quite a ways out. So trying to get ahead of the curve before we have to start doing major repair to the current boat. So that's where we're at.
All right, excellent. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? 5 here. Oh, everyone, yes.
There's a reason why I don't own a boat, because they're incredibly expensive. But I think the big selling point for me was when the chief explained that if they pick up an injured person on this boat, I can't even lay him down. And so that when we get a new boat in the future, it'll be a lot easier to give medical assistance.
Thank you. Any other member of the public for a comment on this item? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll go to the council for a motion. Councilmember Fry.
I move to authorize the fire department to submit a grant application for a port security grant through FEMA for the purchase of a new rescue fireboat.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion is second, open for discussion. I have the floor if you wish.
You know, I think that we're all trying to be proactive in making sure we have equipment when we need it. We need it now. We're not even able to treat somebody in the boat. I'm reminded all the time about how much coastline we have in Bremerton. And so I don't know if we normally take it this far for a grant. We're just applying for the grant right now, I think, not authorizing it. So we talked about this in public safety. Yeah, I agree with Jane. You know, there are reasons why people don't own boats, but there are reasons that fire departments do. So thank you, Chief, and thanks for all the diligence on this.
Councilmember Mockler, floor is yours if you wish. Nope. Okay. Councilmember Chamberlain.
Thank you. Chief McGanny, did you use the current boat? We had a little mishap recently. I don't know if you've heard about this, everybody, but there was apparently a ferry ran aground. I don't know. I'm just hearing about this. Of course, I'm just kidding, y'all. But I'm curious, Chief McGanny, how y'all operated with your boat in collaboration with the efforts of, the ferry system. And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I think the ferry just parked in the wrong spot.
Right.
So the first request came out was for any law enforcement or fireboat to respond to that area. They weren't sure how stable the boat was. So our boat was out there for about 5.5 to 6 hours to support that operation while they worked through plan A, B, and C, and eventually working with the transit. But so we work in collaboration. Actually, our crews today were down here at a class being put on by the shipyard, and tomorrow they'll be at the ferry shipyard over on Bainbridge Island doing training with all the fire departments in the county, the Coast Guard, the ferry system. So
nice.
Yes, we work in very well with
Did-
the.
So you operated the current boat. Can you tell me about some of first question, I'm not quite sure, were there any medical emergencies that y'all had to respond to on the ferry during this time? That it was parked in the wrong spot?
We did not transport any of the patients. There were 2 patients transported off the ferry, both of those by Coast Guard.
Okay.
And then were brought here to Bremerton, and our paramedics took care of those 2
Great.
patients. The original plan was they were going to disembark all the 600 passengers with small boats, and that was going to take quite a while. So they
Right.
their plans.
And so I imagine it would have been hard to, even if there was a medical emergency, you can't lay anybody down on your boat. You know, you would have had to treat them on the boat and then transport them. And then also, what did your firefighters, EMTs have any kind of like, I think you told me the boat was really cold and that it was kind of outdated. And can you tell me a little bit about that?
So just for clarification, we can we can lay a patient down, but it's on the deck outside. We can't treat
Got
patients
it.
in the cab. So just a little clarification. And yes, they were out there for, like I said, 5.5, 6 hours, and our cab does not have a heater in it. So they were a little chilly.
Sometimes you're going to need use of your fingers to treat folks, right? If the EMTs have cold fingers, I mean, that's a thing. But more than anything, I think it is probably time for an upgrade. The main reason that I'm glad this is on general business is I really wanted to find out about the plan for the match, which is significant. It's $182,000. So that's a big chunk of change. And since fire department does take up about 25, 24, 26, depending on the year, % of our budget, I just kind of wanted to check in with you about that to find out if there were any other, if you did have capacity within your budget to take care of some of that match, would you be able to absorb that? Or are you asking specifically for the city to add that additional $182K in our budget cycle for next year?
Well, it wouldn't be for next year, probably not till 2025 that we would have to
Got it.
Put that in. And we will be able to sell the current boat to help offset some of the cost of the match. But there's not $180,000 in our budget to be able to help offset that match. But I believe that with fund balance and selling of the boat, we should be able to cover that.
Okay. So there will be a sale of the boat. And so some of that will go towards the cost of the, you said 182K, I mean, roughly. And who knows? I mean, the cost could go up. Are you going to put the order in now, or are you waiting? You're waiting for the grant to come through. Sorry. But once you see if you have approval, then you can put an order in. And so that would be in 24.
Once we get notification that we are approved for the grant, we'll come back to the council with the final bid on the boat. So once we'll submit the grants in a couple different stages. The first stage is just a general grant, and then if they approve us to be accepted for the port security, then we'll have to submit another more detailed process for which
Got it.
But if we do this, we won't be responsible for any funding until probably 2025, 2026.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. I think that's all the questions I have.
Excellent. Councilmember Goodman?
I think most of my questions got answered, but what's the likelihood of this grant? I mean, it seems like we'd be a good candidate with the amount of shoreline that we have and the military and things like that. Are you feeling pretty?
I'm not sure. There's $100 million available on this grant. And I know there's quite a few jurisdictions that do put in. We're the only fire department in the area that is putting in for it that I know of. So we have some contacts that deal with this grant. So we'll see. I mean, feel pretty good, but
yeah,
you just never know.
I get it.
So
I've done a lot of fundraising, and will it be yellow?
Our current boat is white, but we'll talk about that. There might be
Saying.
some yellow on it. Yes.
Yellow's our fire department color.
Yes.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any other council members for questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll just thank you, Chief, for being proactive about this and applying for it, looking years down the line. Seems like a valuable asset to our community, and that was unfortunately we had to use it with the Walla Walla, but I'm glad it was there to help out the folks who needed it. So thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll call for the question.
Councilmember Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Dennehy,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Now our final general business item 6D, ordinance number 5474 to add BMC chapter 2.34 regarding creation of a race equity advisory commission. Presenter is City Attorney Kylie Fennell.
Thank you. The attached ordinance that's in the packet tonight incorporates the changes that were discussed last week.
Excellent.
I
And
have nothing else to add.
I believe there was a slide you had prepared. Excellent. Okay. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Yes, point of order. Yeah,
To my knowledge, the only change between this draft and the one.
I can
from
say that's
2
not a
weeks ago.
not a valid point of order, but it's something you can
I
bring up in
can
discussion.
provide additional information. I'm sorry, I was pretty brief. I know that there's a lot of people waiting here and I wanted to get to their comments. Last week, the council discussed adding an additional terms to the membership requirements so that the membership be limited to residents of the city of Bremerton or its associated urban growth area. So, or its associated urban growth area was the part added last week. The rest of it is the same.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Fennell. All right, go to public comment. Yes, starting here in the room.
Jane Revelowski. So at last week's study session is the first time I saw a majority of council members who wanted to include the urban growth areas. We've only had one annexation, I believe, in the past 10 years, and that was a total of 5 lots. Other annexations that have been requested, the last one was 97% against. Every other committee, commission in the city requires that you be a city resident, except that we couldn't find a CPA who lived within the city of Bremerton, so they made that adjustment for that one commission only. So I'd like to, and I've heard word of mouth that the only reason why you want to change this is that one person lives across the street from the boundaries and there's some desire to have this one person on the committee or commission. I'm confused. But anyway, I just wanted to point out, we've never really gone after anybody in the urban growth area except Skia. And that was more than a decade ago.
Thank you. Anyone else for public recognition? All right, for public comment on this item. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Joe Walter. I live in Navy Yard City, I think we call my neighborhood. I want to talk about REACT. I know you received some emails. I hope you received a lot of them. I was under the impression during REACT's time of existence that there was a lot of disappointment, and I just saw it as it's growing pains. It was a new committee and there were things to figure out. And I believe that if everybody would just be patient and gracious with each other, that everything would be resolved and the committee could just go about its business and fulfill its purpose. and get us closer to the shared vision of being a model community around issues of race equity. But as time went on, it felt like it was taking too long to sort out the problems and things were falling apart. And it started to look to me like, is this how systemic racism works in Bremerton? Is this how colonized people behave? Is this what happens when well-meaning people can't see the impacts of our system of white supremacy because we are swimming in a sea of white supremacy, and just like air, it feels normal to us? Relationship is everything when you're building community. So one thing that will help moving forward is if relationships are valued and protected. The people who served on REACT did an excellent job of service for our community, and they produced some excellent work in the form of community-generated priorities to work on in the future. These folks should be invited to continue on the new commission. And the priorities that they presented to the council and the mayor, that is the work that should be continued moving forward. It would be easy to just start over fresh and clear with new folks and new processes, but that would be deeply disrespectful of the committee members and all of the community members who they interviewed and who participated in community conversations in order to get you the information that you need. I hope that before voting on the ordinance tonight, as it stands, that you will amend it to ensure that the REACT committee members are invited to continue, and that the work and the priorities that they shared with you will remain a focus of Bremerton's ongoing work towards racial equity. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment on this item? Let's look online. Let's go to Leslie Doggs.
Thank you very much. My name is Leslie Dowgs, District 2, and a previous council member. I just wanted to say, I spoke at the last council meeting regarding this. I'm one of the council members that helped form this committee. And I want to make a few comments. Sexism does exist, but I think this is another topic to be discussed in the near future. Women's suffrage does not equal to the suffrage of people of color. But REACT is important as this committee continues to challenge the conversations on race and equity. As shared at a previous council meeting, the heat maps of people of color of Bremerton, they are the individuals you council members represent. My concern is the mayor-appointed committee members usually do not get voted against. So my concern is to make sure that committee members represent diverse populations of people of color, and the council to challenge committee members appointed to not be all white individual population. So please continue to keep this a topic of conversation. Please continue to challenge committee members moving forward. We need to have a fair representation of our city, and an all-white committee will not represent our city of Bremerton. Thank you for letting me speak to you today. And as I have shared with you my previous emails, you guys got heat maps regarding our city and the people that you represent. Remember, you are representing a vast population of people of color in your community, and speak on behalf of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go back in the room here.
Good evening. My name is Daryl Riley. Thank you all for really considering this. It's taken quite a while to get to this point. I'm kind of in a press situation here. On one hand, I'm excited that this is trying to move forward. On the other hand, I see the bureaucracy, the intentional barriers in place to kind of slow it down and wear us down. I will say that about 2 years ago, I came before you at the behest of the mayor. And at that time, the mayor was asking me to speak on behalf of the chief to get appointed permanently. I suggested to you at that time that you visit the community, that you talk to the police officers, that you do your due diligence. You did that, and you reversed your decision based upon the information that you received, which is good governance. I gave that mayor the exact same advice that he asked me to give you. And it seems as if he's going against it. Those committee members do not represent the community. Some of them don't live here. They really don't have a stake in the game. You cannot legislate equity like you did that fire truck. You can't do it the same way. Mr. Mayor, I respect you, but you're doing it wrong. It's almost like I don't think you would ever call me the N-word, but your behavior is. It's saying that to the community. We told you, you wouldn't do it, so we went out and got the community to tell you what we wanted. They told you what they wanted, and you seem to disregard that. I've spoken to some of the people on your team. They don't even really know what's going on. So at this point in the game, I would just suggest that you take the advice of some of the subject matter experts that help put this together and not give him a blank check to appoint his people. Because if you also look at his recommendation he's having a person come in and I'm lost in my word, consultant. There's a 6-month window. Then there's 2 more options for another 6-month window. That means don't she have to get done in 18 months? Guess what happens in 18 months?
22nd morning.
Election. So what are we really doing? Can we really talk about this? I gave you 30 months, man. 3 minutes ain't nothing. I just want it done right. Because we're not going to support it if it ain't right.
Thank you. All right, anyone else for public comment on this item? Yes, please go ahead.
My name is Promise Partner, and I'm reading public comments by Aaron Leidick, who served on the Bremerton Race Equity Advisory Committee from the fall of 2020 until it was unceremoniously discontinued at the end of 2022. Community members, including those who served on your REAC, have been challenging the City Council and Mayor to do much better on seeing and dismantling the systemic racism and white supremacy embedded in city governance. These issues are not unique to Bremerton, but neither is Bremerton somehow immune to them. Colonialism, imperialism, and racialized capitalism were foundational to the creation of the United States. These persist in all elements of mainstream culture and certainly within the building blocks of our institutions, like this city government, down to the bone marrow, to the cellular level, in traditions, language, culture, procedures, practices, policies, and more. Ignoring the problem perpetuates and exacerbates the harm. The living legacy of these forces keeps elected leaders, whether consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, or all of the above, operating in service of the status quo, racism. Here in Bremerton, this was evident to us during Bremerton REACT's 30-month lifespan. It was observed many times by community members who attended or viewed our meetings that electeds were at best less than enthusiastic about receiving advice on how to apply a race equity analysis and take related action. We hosted a March 2022 Getting to Racial Equity community conversation to identify emerging priorities for race equity that the city and its electeds should pursue. Many critical issues were discussed that day, with the one most often identified as a priority by 83% of attendees being having an empowered and impactful Bremerton Race Equity Advisory Committee. Simply put, it is racist that there has been little to no progress on that empowerment or any of the other priorities discussed at that community conversation, which as of today occurred almost 14 months ago. You must ensure continuity of this and other work done by the Bremerton REAC during its 30 months of existence. City Council and Mayor, prioritize members of the previous Bremerton REAC when creating the new Race Equity Advisory Commission. At minimum, 50% of the new commission should be community members who served on the Bremerton REAC. This is critical for continuity of the work. Charge yourself and the new commission with continuing the work of the Bremerton REAC by addressing the issues and priorities brought forward by it, including those from the March 8th, 2022 community conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Else for public comment on this item? If there's more folks in the room, feel free to line up in the middle. We'll go back online to Robert Harris.
Thank you, everyone. Robert Harris, NAACP Bremerton branch here. I live in the Bremerton area, although on the south end, but in the Bremerton area. So I've had several sidebar conversations with some of the city council members about the reactivation of REACT, and I understood why it had to be deactivated and then re-implemented here. I just wanted to come out and say that, NAACP Bremerton is thankful that REACT is being re-implemented, but we want to make sure it's re-implemented in the correct fashion and with the correct individuals who appropriately represent our diverse community. I think that the previous members have done a great job and invested a lot of hard work and heart into making REACT what it is today. And I just want to reiterate, what the previous committee members were stating. I believe that those individuals, whether that's 50% of them or 75% of them, should be some of the first ones that should be invited back to REACT. And also, they are members that live in the city of Bremerton. If we're going out and selecting individuals who are not living within the Bremerton city limits, they really don't have a good understanding of what the actual needs are of our diverse community here in the city of Bremerton. I think that you had a good committee there. I've read through your charter. I think the charter is spot on in regards to, the things that they're trying to achieve. But also, I see individuals on that committee that will challenge, the status quo. And that is what is needed. We don't want people on there that's just going to go along with, just go along to get along. Challenge is good. I've worked for Washington State for quite a long time, and I always encourage individuals who work for me to come in and provide a diverse perspective about what they're seeing out in the field. And I hope that the Bremerton City Council would do that here before we just start appointing individuals who are not going to necessarily serve the best interest of our diverse community in the city of Bremerton. So just want to let you know that, NAACP would not be in support of having individuals outside of the city who are not going to support the best interest of our BIPOC community. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go back online. The next, yes, Chrissy Lyson, please go ahead.
Good evening, Council. I'm a resident in District 3. I want to also get behind what other speakers from the community have said about prioritizing prior REACT committee members to be appointed on the commission. The questions I have are about the transparency of the process. What is the guarantee to our city residents and constituents that there'll be a transparent process and accountability for the selection of commission members, and what will be the ongoing engagement of the community by the commission, like what processes or what mechanisms will be put in place to really engage the community, to be interacting with the commission, to help with them to put forward the community's voice. I missed the last study session about this topic, but the one prior to that, where it was discussed, there was a lot of discussion around, and I apologize if I don't have this quite right, but something about individual commission members could be held liable if they said something wrong and didn't uphold the public meetings law or what. I don't know what it is, but anyway, and so it was, what we really want is for the community members to be able to give input, comment at those meetings. And it sounded like, as a result of not wanting commission members to be personally liable for whatever they might say, that that was going to be shut off. Like the public was not going to be able to interact with the commission at their meetings. And I think that while I understand the council's concern about commission members, I think the, sort of the unintentional impact of that is that you're shutting off the voice of the community who wanted this wanted this committee first, and now what's kind of moving over into a commission to happen. So those are my thoughts at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this item? Yes, Victoria Hilt online.
All right. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to sort of back up what's already been said, in that the members of the REAC who have done so much work should be given the opportunity to come back and to continue the work that they were doing. I recently just got back from somewhere where we were discussing the value of relationships and the value of understanding where the true power in community lies. And it is with those trusted individuals. And if these individuals were able to get community engagement, to get questions answered about what's the true issues of today, what's the true things that are happening on the ground, then those are individuals that are considered trusted in our community. And we have to give that the respect that it deserves, and recognize the hard work that they've done. And that if we come in and decide that we need all new people, we will have broken the trust that had been built. And when you do that, it disenfranchises people. It creates distrust. It creates fear. It creates the possibility of misunderstanding. And one of the most powerful things that we can do is build a relationship with each other, and work with each other to create. And I know that Bremerton City Council and Bremerton's mayor did not want to go against progress. That's not what we want for Bremerton. We all want Bremerton to succeed. And in order to do that, we have to recognize what's happening right in front of our face. And so I just wanted to back up what others are saying. I'm not going to say verbatim what they've said, but I do just want to emphasize that in order to do community work, you have to be able to talk to community about what you're working on. And if you have people who can speak to community in a way that people recognize and people speak, then they are succeeding. And we need to celebrate that and recognize that and honor that. And it sounds like that's not what has been done. It may not have been intentional. Sometimes these things happen, but there is still time to rectify this and make sure that they have the opportunity and the offer is extended for them to come back. Whether or not they choose to come back is definitely up to them, but I would imagine that this would feel like quite a disrespectful thing that has occurred. And again, I don't think it was intentional, and so I'd like to believe that, and I'm going to just leave on that positive note that when we build relationship, when we community together, and community is a verb, then we succeed. So please consider this in your decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold for public comment on this item. Yes, Marwan Cameron online.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor Wheeler.
Go ahead if you can hear us, Cameron.
Coming through.
If you're speaking, we can't hear you yet.
What I wanted to say was, I want to look a little bit further down the
That
road
helps. We're getting, I think, a few distorted noises.
in this situation here. And regardless of whether this is a commission or a committee.
Let's put Mr. Cameron on pause and just check if there's anyone else in the room for public comment or anyone else online. Okay, seeing none, Mr. Cameron, let's try again, see if you're able to come through.
Am I going through now?
Sounds like you're trying to speak, but it's kind of a really heavily distorted robotic voice that we can't understand. So I might just give it another 10 seconds here to see if we can clear it up. I don't think anything's coming through, so I'm so sorry, Mr. Cameron. Let me just double check if there's anybody else for public comment on this item. Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and go to the council for a motion. Yes, Councilmember Dennehy.
I think I'm just going to get out of the way at this point and support this ordinance.
All right. Well, I'll wrap this up here and let me start by.
May I make another comment? I'm sorry. I know you don't see me because I'm online.
No, we can do a second round. Yes.
Okay, great. I want to reply. I don't think that the idea of the urban growth area means that members of council do not believe in the abilities or the stock of our BIPOC community in Bremerton. When you look at the map, you see most of those areas are in Bremerton. So I just want to strongly say that I absolutely resist that idea. Navy Yard City, West Hills, East Bremerton, they are people that live in Bremerton. And I guess I want to go ahead so we can have public comment and make the amendment just for the sake of public comment, not that I necessarily support it, but I'd like to go ahead and make a friendly amendment to remove urban growth area from the wording. So is there a recommended way that I can do that?
Go to city clerk here.
It would be an amendment to remove, and it's the urban. Under 2.34.020, section A, removing its associated urban growth area.
Does that sum up your thoughts, Councilmember?
Yeah, I'd like to hear public comment on that.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second for that amendment. All right, we're open for discussion just on this specific amendment. And so in proper order, Councilmember Chamberlain, if you had anything else to add.
Well, I have nothing to add, but isn't the order of things that we go to the public first to see if they want to comment on this amendment? And then we go to council members or.
Yes, okay, I'm seeing yes. So does any member
Okay, thank you.
comment on this specific amendment? Please go ahead in the room.
I support this amendment because our charter says that you have to be city of Bremerton resident. So we've already made an exception for assessors. If you make an exception for this commission, then what's to say that developers who live at the very edge of the urban growth area decide that they want to be on our planning commission, and artists who live outside of city limits decide they want a say in how we spend our money. It's just, look at the charter. We don't need to be going against the charter. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this item? Anyone online? All right, going once, going twice. Nope.
As partner District 5, I support the urban growth areas being included. Folks from those areas on for eligibility in the Race Equity Advisory Commission. I think about this commission as really, as you've heard from a lot of people tonight, about relationships and about how we're connected in community, how we take care of each other, how we work for each other. And that doesn't change, because I'm in East Bremerton or West Hills. Those are my neighbors, my friends, people that I work with. So I understand that there may be some technicalities, but when I see this commission, they're people that I want to be hand in hand with in this work for racial equity. And so I would like to see them be eligible to be on the commission.
Thank you. And also public, yes, let's go in the room and then we'll go online.
Joe Walter. It took me a minute to figure out what I thought about this. One, to speak to Ms. Mockler's sense that Mr. Harris's comments represented all of the NAACP. I don't know that we can count on that without checking with him. My sense is that there wasn't enough time for him to have discussed it with the body. So for what that's worth, I think my sense is that he was speaking for himself, but we don't know for sure. I think it is a good thing for this commission to be open to service from people who live wherever they live in Bremerton. There's people across the street from me. I'm in Navy Yard City, but I'm in the Bremerton part, and across the street, they're not. And they are my neighbors. I think those points that have been made about who identifies as a Bremertonian, I think that's important. That's the community. And we're not giving these people power. We're giving them the capacity to be heard. So what would be the problem in hearing from people who are in the urban growth areas? Yeah.
Thank you. All right, online, yes, Leslie Dogs. Go ahead, Ms. Dogs, if you can hear us.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, my name is Leslie Dogs, previous council member, District 2. We can accept public input from anyone in the urban growth areas, but I firmly believe that the committee should comprise of residents of the city of Bremerton. And I say that because that changes the dynamics of all our committees. That changes the dynamics of, the fact that the individuals that live in the urban growth areas do not vote or don't vote for people in Bremerton. They represent the county as far as their voted electeds. So I would favor hearing input from people from the urban growth area, but I also want to push and stress that the committee should comprise of City of Bremerton residents. When the first REACT committee was formed, the big priority is to make sure they were part of Bremerton, and we got a lot of heat because other people wanted to be involved in it. And the big thing was making sure they were Bremerton residents. So again, we as a committee can always get input from individuals, but it's the committee should comprise of City of Bremerton residents. Thank you again for hearing me out.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this amendment? Yes, Victoria Hilt online. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, so I live in Bremerton too. I live in the Bay Vista area. I'm not sure what zone that is. I just looked up at a map and I got all confused on myself because I'm trying to figure it out. And it took me a minute to figure out what the true debate is. And I heard two distinct things tonight, and it concerns me because I feel like we are fighting the exact thing that we are striving to fix. We know that boundaries have been established historically to marginalize people, and certain areas of Bremerton that are not considered, or those urban growth areas, there's a reason that they're not considered Bremerton, right? And I'm going to just call it out for what it is. It's racism. Racism has been in everything historically. And so if we can in one breath recognize that redlining and gentrification and the pushing of individuals into one neighborhood into another has been happening for years, then I think we also have to recognize that those neighbors, those community members, those trusted community members may not be within those city limits, and they still need to be heard. And with all due respect to everyone who has shared, and I get that, we would be setting a new precedence for commissions, and that's dangerous, right? Because then what's next?
You're just, what's somebody going to take next? You give them an inch and they take a mile. But here's the thing. We're addressing race equity. And if we've already acknowledged that this is a race issue with where people live, then I think we need to kind of open up our eyes and admit that if the hot spots on that map are where people are living, then that's where we need to go. And I may have misunderstood something, but that's what I believe. And it's true that I didn't originally comment on that, but I have to say that we have 3 minutes and we try to ram everything that we can think of into those 3 minutes. And it's hard. And so we try to get the most important things. And I know that you get that. I see you and I'm like, yes, you get it. So we didn't mention it first. And so I so appreciate the opportunity to mention it again, but I am actually in support of including the urban growth areas for this commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this amendment? All right, seeing none, we'll go back to, and thank you, Councilmember Chamberlain. Go back to you, I believe you had the floor, and then we'll go to Councilmember Mockler as seconder.
Okay. Okay, that was good. We were able to get some feedback on, because that was really what was the last sticking point, was do we include urban growth area or not? I don't know yet which way I want to sway. I absolutely resonate with the fact that these historical boundaries
will be a bit of a stickler in Robert's rules that is the maker of an amendment. You just can't argue against it.
I believe, oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Well, I guess honestly, I'm just gonna go back to other council members and hear what they have to say. Thank you.
Councilmember Mockler, as a seconder, you are allowed to argue against it. So
I am in favor of the amendment. And as a person who has had, like, I like that about this council is that evidence changes our mind. But yes, in this particular case, I'm just going to say that I didn't know every single speaker, but every speaker from the BIPOC community is in favor of having this be for Bremerton residents only. So I guess I would respect that and vote, and I urge you to vote in favor of this amendment, because I've given you all my other reasons and you're all smart. You remember them from 10 minutes ago. Thank you.
Any other council members on this? Councilmember Dennehy.
I'm not going to die on this hill because I think that once the commission gets going, if they choose to make this a priority and advise us, I think we'll listen to it. So I 2 points I just wanted to make. One, the language of this came from the past REAC committee. So that's one of the reasons that I'm in support of it. It's the committee itself wanted to expand into the urban growth areas or outside of Bremerton boundaries. And then I just wanted to make sure council was aware that there was a comment made about the charter Article 7, Section 32 member residency requirement states the mayor shall appoint all boards, commissions, and committees established by ordinance or charter, except for the audit committee, with council confirmation as required by ordinance. All members of boards, commissions, and committees established by ordinance or charter shall be residents of the city for at least 1 year prior to appointment and 18 years of age, unless otherwise provided by ordinance. So it is in the power of council by ordinance, as this is an ordinance, to determine what we want and still conform with the charter. But again, I'm not going to die on this hill. I think that this can be amended in the future, and I would love to see this pass ASAP.
Any other council members for a comment on this amendment? I was the one in study session who brought this idea up, and I brought it up because of looking at doing due diligence and checking other cities and listening to the REAC recommendations. Because originally the conversation was Bremerton versus no limits at all. You know, somebody could come from Bainbridge Island or something like that. And of course, back then my thought process was, well, the mayor's never going to appoint somebody from Bainbridge Island who has no ties to Bremerton. The council will never confirm them. What's the harm in opening up? Heard the concerns. but looking to Olympia and some other cities, they have a lot of language of allowing urban growth areas, specifically for their similar race equity commission. So, and one of the reasons is Bremerton has such bizarre city limits when we look at it, right? There's so many of those jagged edges. I remember going door to door and campaigning and just realizing how wonky the edges are. And so I'm still in favor of this here in public comment, of including the urban growth areas, because it allows us a little more flexibility. If somebody is just nearby, they still consider them Bremerton. They have demonstrated ties to Bremerton. They have demonstrated experience with race equity. There's somebody that we want to serve that would be of value to Bremerton and a value to this commission. I don't want to see them not considered just because they're a little bit outside city limits. So I'm going to go with listening to REACT's original recommendation of opening up this commission. And as far as the slippery slope argument goes, I said all those other ordinances would have to be amended similarly. So I'm not personally too worried about that slippery slope. I think this is a specific commission where we do want to open it up just a little bit more. So with that, I will ask the city clerk to just reread the amendment and then call for the question on it.
The amendment is to amend or to remove in section 2.34.020, section A, the words "or its associated urban growth area."
Call for the question.
Councilmember Chamberlain.
No.
Fry.
No.
Dennehy.
No.
Good now.
No.
Mochler.
Heck yes.
Coughlin.
No.
The amendment fails. So are we ready for the main?
Perfect. All right, so we're back to the main motion. Sorry, thank you. And on that, Councilmember Chamberlain, you started a second round and introduced this amendment, so technically you're the floor on the main motion.
Oh, great, thank you. And I have to turn my video off. I'm having some wonky coverage, so apologies for that. Okay, so I really appreciated Councilor Dennehy's comments about what REACT's desire was. That was the desire to come out of the committee to expand the boundaries. The urban growth area, great, I love it. Thank you, President Coughlin, for coming up with that. And I believe you had assistance from not just Attorney Fennell, but also Andrea Spencer. Am I right with that? So I want to throw a huge shout out to Andrea Spencer for assisting with that wording and that concept. Other than that, I have no other comments to make. I feel like I've made all the comments. Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right, we're technically open for a second round if there are any additional comments, else I can wrap us up. All right, seeing none. I got to speak on this. All right. Yeah, I just, let me wrap up with just a huge thank you to everybody for their work on this. I think the other council members have really called out everyone by name. So let me just echo again, Councilmember Dennehy, thank you for chairing REACT all of last year. It was an honor to serve with you on it, although brief. And thank you for taking the lead on reaching out to REACT and getting the recommendations on this. And again, such thanks to our city attorney and assistant city attorneys for all their hard work on this too. They really went above and beyond. I just got to say a lot. I really value being in a city that can openly and earnestly examine and discuss, racial disparities, other factors of inequity, and even more so, I value actually being able to take action on them to address them. And I do value that Bremerton, being the largest and most diverse city in Kitsap, should be taking the lead on that. So just to summarize again, why we're here today. Like we talked about in 2020, the original, REACT was discussed as a task force, and then it was passed as a motion by a council committee, and it really did some great work that's incredibly appreciated. But legally speaking, it just wasn't viable in the long run because of the way it was created. There needed to be an ordinance and other things properly established to be in compliance, not only with our own city charter, but state law as well. And so all last year, REACT was consulted and had dedicated meetings on how to create a permanent version. And they recommended, based on all the available legal frameworks, a commission, which advises both mayor and council, along with some other specifics. And so council at our annual retreat in this January, we established passing an ordinance to create a permanent commission as a top goal. We've had a lot of meetings and discussion this year to craft this ordinance, incorporating feedback and recommendations of REACT. And 2 weeks ago, we presented the full ordinance to the public just to listen for specific feedback on it. So now we're here to take the actual vote and hopefully, in my opinion, to complete council's 2023 goal of permanently establishing this commission. And I know it's been frustrating to some on the length of this process and how long it's taken. But and I know frustrating of all the options we explored and the difficult conversations we've had publicly, but I think one of the reasons we took it a little slow and had those difficult public conversations is because we wanted to get it right. I think council wants us to be successful, impactful, and more importantly, lasting. Just some actions over the past year. Last year, we passed a budget that specifically had a diversity, equity, and inclusion director level hire position. And the mayor's done great work going out for a consultant, also one of council's goals to help craft that position's roles and responsibilities. Also at REACT's recommendation, council joined GARE, the Government Alliance on Race Equity, which has been a fantastic resource. I know many council members have been attending race equity trainings and sessions. Personally, just last week, I was at the Puget Sound Regional Council workshop using the ACT method to discuss race equity. That was great. And I participated in a specific session on promoting equity at the Association of Washington Cities Conference in February. It was also great to learn what other cities have done in terms of establishing their own commissions, committees, and find out what's worked and what's been successful. And as you said, I've met one-on-one with many former members of REACT, asking for feedback on specifics of this commission. And I've just personally tried to go to every person of color, everyone that's involved in equity work I know, for their input and to get them to speak up. And so I'm so glad to see that we have had such good public engagement and speaking up on this. To wrap up here, I look forward to the next steps because this is, I think we should acknowledge just the beginning. Just as council administration takes seriously the input of the Planning Commission, the Parks Commission, ADA Commission, Complete Streets Committee, et cetera, when it comes to implementing policy and budget, I know we'll take seriously too the input from the Race Equity Advisory Commission. And at any time, I want to say addressing some of the public comment, I think the only thing we didn't address was the commission accepting public comment. And I want to echo at any time you can email the city council, you can email the mayor, you can show up to these public council meetings and give public input on any topic. So those are always welcome. And just to reiterate, per the city charter, once this commission is created, assuming it passes, it'll be up to the mayor to nominate members and bring them forth to the council for confirmation. So I just encourage everybody out there who's interested to apply. Check on the city website under commissions and committees for the application. Encourage those who would be great on the commission to apply. And absolutely speak up on who you think would be good to have on the commission, both to council and mayor. I know council's open to working with the mayor on that selection process and ensuring the community feedback is taken into account and we just get the best commission possible to advance this incredibly important work. So thanks once again to everyone for speaking up. And with that, I call for the question.
Councilmember Mochler,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Dennehy,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. This concludes general business.
Excellent. Thank you. We check the time. We have a request to adjourn. Yes. Why don't we, since we're an hour and a half or 2 hours in, let's adjourn for 10 minutes and reconvene at 5 minutes. All right. Let's adjourn for 5 minutes and meet at 7:35. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
All right, let's get the
Recording in progress.
All right, 7:35, and we're resuming the May 3rd Bremerton City Council meeting. Next up, we have council reports. All right, and since it is the first council meeting of the month, we'll start with Council Vice President Jennifer Chamberlain for District 1.
Thank you. Okay, I've got my timer going. I'm going to try to keep this to 5 minutes, but Council President, if you'll grant me just a little bit of grace. I'm out here in beautiful La Push on Quileute Reservation, and there's healthy orca pod, healthy humpback whale pod out here, and I can't help thinking about Warren, our humpback whale, our gray whale that is in the Narrows right now. It's been hanging out for a few weeks. I just want to use this platform to encourage folks who are out on the water to be safe and protective of Warren. We don't know exactly what he's going through. I did get a call back after I tried to solicit information from Fish and Wildlife saying they're monitoring the animal. It's demonstrating feeding behavior. But what I witnessed earlier in the week, last weekend, Friday, was motorboats cruising right directly over during extreme low tide where Warren was. And just please encourage your friends to exercise safety. Be aware that we have a federally protected animal in our waters right now that needs protection. I also want to use this platform to shout out for May Day. We just had May 1st, International Workers' Day. And I want to just share briefly how this labor movement has positively affected me in my life. Part of the reason that I am on a little vacation is it was about 20 years ago that between the week of my birthday and Mother's Day, I had my first miscarriage of 2 before I had my second son. What I didn't know is that it was the beginning of a long series of postpartum depression. I tried to get mental wellness help in my community. At the time, healthcare wasn't very good. You could only really get healthcare if you were pregnant or very, very low income or had some other qualifying things, which I never qualified for. And I struggled in that struggle, exacerbated substance use disorder, exacerbated my mental wellness issues, and led to justice involvement, all kinds of things. It was actually through community service for that justice involvement that I was led into AmeriCorps, which eventually led me into my union position with the school district. And it was not really until I got that union position with the school district that I had good health care, where I could access good mental wellness care, good just health care in general, where I was able to have a livable wage, where I was able to start to get a life and dig myself out of some pretty serious stuff. Court involvement comes with a lot of fees. And so does going to court for other things, including parenting court and just general conditions of poverty that I was experiencing before. And so I just want to throw a huge shout out to all the labor organizations and union members out there, and in solidarity with you and all the work you do. Having been on a bargaining team myself with the PSE, with the BPEA union, although I'm not a member anymore, I still substitute, but I'm not a member anymore. I was on the bargaining team. I was a delegate. I was very involved when I could be. And I know the hardships and the strain that it can take being on that side. And that's all I really have to share today. And I made it within 5 minutes. Thank you.
Minute and 15 seconds to spare. Thank you. Thank you, Vice President. Next, we'll go to District 2, Councilmember Denise Fry.
Thank you. Dave, can you get my presentation up there? Most of my report tonight is going to be spent taking some responsibility for comments that I've made recently around the ordinance to establish a race equity advisory commission. Go to the next one, please, Dave. I want to begin, however, I have to, with a quick slide thanking the people who showed up on a beautiful morning last weekend to clear out invasive species at Sheridan Park in District 2. Josh Farley showed up with some of his crew from Madrona Trails. West Sound Cycling showed up with a crew and a tent and some cookies too. Special thanks to Parks Commissioner Greg Dawson, who led the efforts to make this happen, and to Parks Commissioner Catherine Weisel, who with her husband cleared, trimmed, and loaded along with Parks Director Jeff Elevato. I love these community projects. And I'm also thankful for a Parks Director that supports them. Thank you very much, Director Elevato. And then if we could go to the next one. As many of you know, and even experienced or witnessed, I was given what my mother would call a comeuppance at our last council meeting. Dave, could you go ahead and just take that up? I want people to be able to see me while I'm talking, while I'm apologizing. It was in response to comments I made during our study session the week before when I misconstrued and misappropriated a very painful time in history to try to advocate for a wider lens, one that would include sexism as well as racism. The misrepresentation and misappropriation not only hurt and angered people, it distracted from the real issue being discussed, which was the infrastructure necessary to address race equity here today in Bremerton. This comeuppance, one of the toughest I've ever received, and I think probably the most public, was well-deserved. People I know and respect, and others I didn't know at the time, but respect, have confronted me publicly. And I'm sorry it really did take that public humiliation for me to see the racism in my own feminist views. These discussions can be difficult and fraught with triggers. I experienced some big triggers that night that fractured my belief system, which was pretty darn strong. You faced me that night with the reality that there is inherent racism in my own belief system, an important aspect of which has always been feminism. I've known Dr. Karen Bolton for years. She served with me when I was at the YWCA Kitsap. She was on the board of directors. I recruited her to be on the board. And we've remained friends and colleagues since then. In fact, the last time I heard Dr. Bolton challenge a city council member was 7 years ago when she and I were at the podium together on behalf of YWCA. We were advocating for an ordinance designating Bremerton as a welcoming city. Never dreamed I'd be on the other end of that from Karen Bolton, but that happened. In her challenge to me that night, and I don't remember whether this was here or in the chairs when we sat down together afterwards, she said, "I thought you were my ally." And that hit. That struck me to my very soul. I've still got work to do in that relationship, but I'm grateful that she's open to it, as she usually is. Former council member Leslie Dowds reminded us all of the investment she and many others, including a few of my fellow council members, made over the past 30 months. We should honor that, not only in words, but in action. Marwan Cameron and Daryl Riley confronted me with realities about colonialism, found that I'd never connected to myself. Really, I'd never connected colonialism to myself. Until I returned home that night, and I got to show you. Until I returned home that night, and on my reading table, do you remember Marwan talked a lot about Martha Washington? And I think that Daryl used a lot of words about colonialism. These were on my reading table at home that night. Martha Washington, a biography, and a historical fiction about a colonial woman, white colonial woman. I can't make this stuff up. Okay. This was deserved and I'm going to use it. I experienced a paradigm shift. Dave, could you put that up just real quick?
Just for a bit over 5 minutes.
Yeah. People really have been not sure what I mean when I say paradigm shift. Just the next one. Thank you, Dave. It's an important change that happens when the usual way of thinking about or doing something is replaced by a new and different way. Discovery will bring about a paradigm shift in our understanding of evolution. I want to thank those that gave me grace. I want to thank those that held me accountable. It is a process, and I won't be going through it so publicly in the future. So thank you for the time, President.
All right, next up we have District 4, Councilmember Quinn.
Thank you, Council President. Vice President Chamberlain, are you still on?
Hey, yeah, we did it.
Hey, is today your birthday?
Oh, yeah, there's rumors about that.
Sorry, a quick happy birthday to you on that. Dave, if you could bring up my slides. I think the last few weeks here on council really exemplify how important it is to fill city council seats with people who are responsive to evidence, responsive to community outcrying, responsive to staff members, responsive to anybody that has constructive criticism, because this job, as Council Member Fry stated, it's the most public thing most of us have done in our lives, and being able to take that criticism, being able to take that feedback with grace and actually self-reflecting and then moving forward with a commitment, I think is commendable. And I think it's exactly the way that racism and all other forms of oppression are going to change in this world. You need to be able to call people in, and you need those people to be able to make that commitment and listen to other points of views and see how harm was done. And so I just thought your apology was great.
Jump in and talk to me.
Sorry, President Coughlin, I thought Councilmember Frey's apology was great. That being said, again, I want to remind people that I'm not running for this seat due to a probable move outside of the district. Filing week is May 15th through the 19th. So please, if you are interested in filling my seat, please file. Feel free to reach out to me for coffee. I'm happy to speak to people about my experience. I've done so already. There's also not encouraging people to run for 2 and 6, but I do think getting robust people in the elections allow us to get great folks, and it allows people to take stances on options. So if you go to the next slide, this again are the district maps. If you live in District 4, it's basically Olympic College to the shipyard. Go ahead and see if you know anybody that lives there. If you live there yourself and are interested in running for my seat, please go on to the Kitsap County Auditor, which is the next page, website, and learn about what you can do to file and what you can and cannot do during running for offices. I just want to thank the council and again, thank the community for sticking with the process to get the ordinance passed tonight. I'm really pleased with the debate that took place and the growing pains that all of us had doing this really important but impactful work. So thank you all.
All right, next up we have District 5 Councilmember Michael Goodnow.
I thought it was a great meeting, and right up to a moment ago, not that I think it's going to change. So there's just been some great conversation. Thank you for the folks who take the time to attend meetings or take the time to write in or both. And I think that's very valuable. I'm excited to see where the Race Equity Commission can go. I'm excited that we're bringing a DEI, because one of the things that previous committee didn't have was sort of administration support. And then the DEI position is going to allow that. So there's somebody who is going to, just help support that group in a way that we just didn't have the structure to do it previously. The last thing I'm going to say is it is an important day. It's my son's birthday. And that ne'er-do-well out in La Push, I guess. So I just want to wish my son Ethan a happy birthday. I think he's 34. Him when I was 7. Anyways, happy birthday to my son Jennifer and anyone else celebrating today. So, thank you.
All right. Next up, we have District 6 Councilmember Anna Mockler.
Thank you. I'm going to break protocol really briefly to say, Councilor Chamberlain, happy birthday. I'm glad you were born. I apologized at great lengths. I didn't have the articulateness of my fellow counselor, but I apologized at great length last week. So today I'm going to move on to a little love letter to Bremerton and especially to my district. It's a hardworking district with a lot of people. They do their own repairs and renovations. And most people in my neighborhood, they work at the shipyard or they used to. They're home health aides, school aides, teachers, admin assistants, UPS drivers, ferry workers, landscapers, auto mechanics, and more. They are stoic by and large. The roads are rough riding and sidewalks are few. Kids seldom have safe routes to school bus stops. Projects are permitted with no clear notice. They don't expect government to think about them much. When I walk in Lulu Haddon Park, only one person has asked me what happened to the playground or when it will come back. Although it's true that with the playground gone since fall 2022 and a possibly toxic landfill on site, fewer people are using the park. Nevertheless, I'm just saying that District 6 doesn't expect their government to let them know what's happening. So let me tell you what's happening. The good news and the bad news. Lulu Haddon Park master renovation should happen next year. Why, you may ask? Because council approved over $1 million for 2023 and in July 2022 approved a contract with parametrics for 100% drawings by end of 2022 with 2023 construction. Why didn't that happen? Surely the landfill was not a surprise with the Kitsap Sun articles citing it in 1997 and 2021. Well, here's the surprise. The landfill was put on the National Register of Historic Places. This makes it a whole new ballgame. This brings in federal requirements. This is a really big surprise. And I'm pretty sure that my neighborhood would enjoy the dark humor of an historical marker noting this unlikeliest of historic places. And I hope we get one. And when we do, I will host an event with cake. In the meantime, Parks Director Jeff Elevato will be putting up signage that updates the park renovation status. And thank you, Director Elevato, and indicates where the landfill is and lets us know that it is capped with 7 feet of uncontaminated soil. So, that's what's happening at Haddon. I talked about this at my last town hall. Oh, could I have these slides, please? Sorry, should have said. Slides, please. Okay, so hold on. This is where the playground used to be at Haddon. And this is a recent photo. Next slide, please. These are my monthly town halls every second Monday at, thank you very much, Public Works Conference Room on Oyster Bay Avenue North. Next slide, please. This was the most recent town hall where I talked about Lulu Haddon, and just note all the way to, hang on, to your right is Tia Hudson, our poet laureate. Okay, that's it for slides. Thank you. So the next town hall is May 8th and every second Monday, et cetera. It's an opportunity for people to talk to their government. So I guess what I'm saying about this with Haddon is that this should become more normal with us. That there should be more opportunities for people to talk to their government and for their government to like talk with them. It should be second nature that when a big change like a playground disappearing happens, that there should be a sign. When a large piece of construction is planned, there should be a giant sign that said notice of proposed land use action. We should be letting people know, not simply saying, if you go to our website and look through the permits, you will find it. But we should be, okay, this is an awkward word to use, but we should be cherishing the people we represent and treating them with the respect they deserve by saying, here's a big thing that's going to happen. Let us tell you about it. And it just, it's not malice. It's not indifference. It's just, we've gotten into the habit of saying, call this, if you're, of just saying the information is available rather than putting it out there. I have like 45 seconds.
I got 7 seconds, but I let
All right.
other
Okay.
folks go over. So you
Really quick then. So that's it. I think we need more notice of street work because we're in a city where people can get deployed like that. So like give a few weeks notice before saying move your car before chip sealing. Almost done. Let's talk to Bremerton and let them know how they can talk to us. The people who live here are Bremerton, and this was a little love letter to them. Thank you. Thank you for letting me go over.
Good. All right. Since Councilmember Eric Younger is out tonight, I'll wrap this up here. It's been a long meeting, so I'll try and be quick. Just got a couple slides. Perfect. Starting off, I just want to give a big kudos to Public Works. This is a picture that they posted online from the open house the other week on the Warren Avenue Bridge. It was I think a great attendance by a lot of people in person, tons of people filling out the online survey. I'm laughing because in this photo, I'm standing in the back like I'm talking to somebody, very animated, and there's no one there. So I don't know what was going on, but very, very excellent meeting. So just thanks to Public Works for putting this together. Next slide. Oh yeah, so I saw this came out from the county's Housing and Homelessness Task Force. This is the preliminary 2023 point in time count. Just wanted to point people to it. It's just really great to see data, and thanks so much to volunteers for gathering the number of folks out there experiencing homelessness, where they reside, the reason they're experiencing that. And it's great data for us to work with. So I look forward to that being actually finalized and us taking a look at it. Next slide. And in the same update, they had just a kudos to all the folks in our community who do what they can to help folks out. So, and thanks to the Kids Up Housing and Homelessness Coalition for putting out this information. Next slide. Along with that, saw this update, thought worth mentioning. May 5th, Peninsula Community Health Services is hosting 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. If folks are on Medicaid or else got Apple Health, they are helping folks to either stay renewed or get re-renewed. So spread the word if anyone you know needs it. And next slide, I think the last one. Also wanted to highlight, just saw this announced BIPOC Business Forum. It'll be the exact same time as our next General Council meeting, May 17th, but over at the Marvin Williams Center. So also share the news. And with that, I think that's my last slide. Yes, happy birthday to Vice President Chamberlain. I am also glad you were born. So, I like that phrasing. Thank you all, council, for a great meeting tonight. Thank you so much to everybody who's still sticking around and listening to us ramble on. But again, a kudos. Thanks for everyone for speaking up and all the written comments as well. And thank you, Dave, for IT support. I got to remember to thank you every meeting because things actually go so flawlessly and smoothly and in this new paradigm we're operating under. So thank you, Dave. All right. And with that, it is my pleasure to announce that the next study session will be held back in the 6th floor council conference room Wednesday, May 10th, beginning at 5 p.m. with a remote option by Zoom. View only will still be available. That concludes tonight's regular council business. Meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.